99, if not 100% genuine. Genuine.
My face was like...
What do you think I was gonna say?
Something bad. Like, I was like, nah, I don't want her.
So this week is our 3-year anniversary since we started officially dating. My name is Adrian Logan.
I'm Danielle.
And we thought that since we're stuck in quarantine, we would go through some question and answers regarding online dating and Tinder, because that's how we actually met, online. So for me in particular, I don't remember all the details, but I do remember that I had just gotten back from a 3-week trip to Thailand. And I went on that trip because I was a little bit depressed, a little bit insecure, a little bit unsure about what I wanted to do. And when I got back, I went onto my Tinder account and I started kind of going back on the hunt. And back on the hunt. And then I just remember meeting her, like swiping right on her, encountering her, just being able to go through conversation, and we had a good flow as we were talking. It got to the point where we decided, well, actually, I invited her out to meet for breakfast. And it kind of went from there. And what was your experience at the beginning, like the very beginning?
So the very beginning, I just moved to Kitchener, so I didn't know anyone.
Right.
And I had just come out of a relationship, and my girlfriend was like, you need to create a Tinder profile. So she basically created the Tinder profile for me. And then she's like, have you swiped on anybody? I was like, no, I don't care. So she picks up my phone. And so she's like going through it every now and then, showing it to me. And then it comes to Adrian, and she's like, this one? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, no, I like him, he's cute. And so I didn't
So her friend swiped on me.
And yeah, but then when we started talking, it was just like a natural flow with conversation. It was like back and forth. I think a couple nights we had stayed up late talking. It felt like, teenage years where you're staying up a bit later talking to someone. Right. So it was fun like that.
One of the main issues I have with Tinder or online texting is keeping the person interested after the first date. I never know what to say after, and it makes me look boring or uninterested. So how did you guys beat the obstacle, or did you meet shortly or straight after? So with the first question about keeping people interested, I think, because I've talked to a lot of people on Tinder and like different apps over the years, and one thing that I realize is that you can't keep someone interested if they don't have a desire to be interested. If they don't desire to have a communication with you, it's going to be a really stale and dead conversation. So having two people that mutually have a desire to communicate together.
I agree. And I feel like people want to talk about themselves. So you just have to ask a couple questions about, what is your family life like? Where have you been? What do you do for work? What's your hobbies? Like, you don't necessarily have to be the one talking, and like you can have a natural flow from that, I think, as well.
How long do you think it was until we met?
I feel like we started talking, I don't think it was a week. I think after preparing for this video, I think it was shorter. I think it was within a couple of days. Then we did breakfast. And then it was like a short meet. And the thing about breakfast, it meant that it was a quiet area. We're not like tired after a day's work. So it was like a good time of day to have a date, I think. It was strange. I've never had breakfast for a date.
So the reason I did breakfast is because I'm so aware that women are so cautious about like you inviting them over to their house at night or going out to the club or the bar, or like, I'm so totally aware of that. So I wanted to do the most like harmless and most like whatever I could do to lower her guard. So I figured going out, taking her out for breakfast. Because I'm hunting. I was on the hunt, so I figured going to breakfast at a nice place. We went to Cora's breakfast, something like that. Had some pancakes and strawberries and whatnot. So I felt like that was the easiest way to keep your guard low and not think I'm just out there to get in the panties and whatnot.
And I think it's important. Like ignoring that. I think it's important to meet not too long after, because like you're building up this image about what this person is like, and I think in a virtual realm you kind of get lost and you make them into something that they're not. And I think you need to shatter that illusion really, not too early but early enough, so you meet them, you see what their mannerisms are like in person. So I think it was like maybe within 2 or 3 days we had breakfast, and then we went to either the movies or we went to one of the clubs for like poetry, not club dancing, but poetry.
The movies was the second date. And my whole thing is, and you probably remember, like when I'm talking to somebody, if I feel that there's a connection or there's a bond, I want to meet as soon as possible, because I don't want to, what you said, I don't want to have either of us create this perfect image of what this person's gonna be, and then you meet them and then inevitably they have flaws and things about them that you might not like. And even though it might not be a deal breaker, you want to bring them to the reality of who you are as soon as possible. So like, I'm sure you remember, like for me, we started having great conversation.
Yeah.
And after we planned to meet up, I didn't want to have any more conversation, because I wanted to like keep the good questions for when we meet in person.
He was weird like that. Like I would be like, oh, so like your mom and you grew up here? And he'd be like, no, let's not have this. I wanted to have that conversation in person with you. And I'm like, Okay, like he's just shutting you down. Like, no, I don't want to have this conversation. Let's
That's
wait
the
for a
worst.
person.
The worst part is like having all the interesting questions and like going into deep topics over text, and then you meet in person. Then this is kind of a stale conversation. So I want to have the first time we meet at least have some conversation going and build rapport, because otherwise, like that first impression meeting could be the deal breaker if we have nothing left to talk about. That was the way I viewed it, at least.
And I don't know if other girls are like me and my girlfriend, but like initially in our first conversations, she was a part of those conversations. You know what I mean?
Your friend?
Yeah, like
Okay.
she was a part of the conversations because like, oh look what he said, and then we both and like it's two people as one that you're meeting there because it's
Yeah.
like both of us are seeing the conversation. We're both like, wait, you said that? No, don't say that. You know what I mean? So in meeting in person, you get to see exactly who I am, and yeah.
It's just total opposite for me because I don't tell people when I'm like talking to people. I'm just like that. I'm real like private. I don't have no one like going back and forth on conversations. But so, what's the most challenging part of online dating for you? You want to start?
For females, like you're inundated with like a lot of guys in your inbox. A lot. Like it was just like, okay, and like they'll be like, oh, want to meet for, and like it would be like a dick pic or something, like just stuff that you didn't want, and then you're just like delete. Like it's just like, and you get to a point where you're just like you put your phone away and you're like, you know, this is not worth it. So there's moments like I think, were you in a break when I was like not wanting to do Tinder? I can't even remember, but there were moments where you're just like, I don't want to do Tinder, and I'm talking to you and talking to other people at the same time, trying to filter out. So it's like a lot, and I don't know other women. I feel like with females we tend to get a lot more hits than men.
Yeah. So I think that goes into my answer because I think the most challenging part as a man is knowing how many hungry dudes are out there in their inbox. So you know you're competing with like 50 guys, and it's hard to start conversations because you can't just say hey because there's 50 other guys saying hey. So it's about trying to separate yourself from every other loser on there.
What was your pickup line? No, hey, beautiful smile. Like I didn't hear that like 10 times.
What was it? Was that it?
It was that.
It's like you gotta start somewhere, I guess. But that's the thing. Like you're competing with people, and I had like I actually had. I don't know why I was on Tinder, but I actually had genuine intentions. And Tinder's known as a place where you go there for some like quick ass basically. And so I was trying to think like how do you separate yourself from everyone else? And that's why I usually want to meet up as soon as possible. As soon as I feel like I have the opportunity to meet up, I want to do it to separate myself from that person, or at least like communicate on Instagram or something like that.
Yeah.
That way you're communicating on a different platform.
And then you could see who the person is outside of Tinder. Because a Tinder profile could really limit what you can put out there. So it's like on Instagram, you see, oh, he travels, he does this, his family, his friends. You kind of see a little bit more about the person.
Right. And I feel like it's so much more like you gain another level in like towards like intimacy, as far as like relationship intimacy, when you're able to like text or you're on Instagram or some other platform. Otherwise, every time you log in, you see 50 different responses. And it's hard. Like that's another reason. Another challenging part for me is that knowing that every time you log on, there's 50 other guys there, and it's very easy before someone knows you to get interested in the next person, and then they might cut you off for a month while they're experimenting with that person.
Yeah.
And then if that doesn't work out, it's kind of awkward to go back to that person. But if you have them on Instagram or you've been texting and you've built up a little bit of a friendship or rapport, even if they test you test somebody else for a little bit, you can always come back and it won't feel that weird. Like you can maintain friendship like communication, and who knows, it can go somewhere later on. So I think that's probably
That's
the most
true.
challenging part.
I'm just thinking of all the guys that just just kind of blanked and just stopped texting after I started seeing you more regularly. I'm sorry, I didn't say anything. I just deleted you. There's something I was gonna say. Oh, creating a balance between seeing someone too soon. So like if a guy, like I'm just messaging them and they're like, tomorrow you want to meet up? I'm like, this looks like he just wants to hook up. And I'm like, I clearly said no hookups in my bio.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to have a good balance too about how quickly you want to meet, because we can be a little bit more reserved. And I think you choosing a breakfast time was kind of helpful in going, okay, this is not a late night meetup. This is like clearly we're just there to talk. Unless people do things in the morning. I don't know.
No, I gotta lower the defenses. That's my strategy. Next question. So, what's the best thing about online dating? For me, what I like is that, like, first of all, in this day and age, it's hard to meet somebody out on the street. It's hard unless someone has a mutual friend and they introduce you to that person. It's hard to meet someone. The club's a bad place. The library is like a myth. Like, who meets somebody at the library? And so it's almost always for me been through mutual friends. So what I think the biggest benefit of online dating for me is giving yourself opportunity. Like I didn't I really had low expectations when it came to online dating, but I figured I'm an introvert. I don't really care to be all about. I'm not the type of person that starts conversations with people. So at least throwing the net out there and like try to see what can come through it.
I agree with like it's a great way and tool to meet people because I was living in Winnipeg. I am living in Winnipeg right now, and my girlfriend she was like just getting out of relationships, so the same place I was like 3 years ago, and I was like, let's do Tinder. So I set up her profile this time, and like we're going through stuff, and I'm swiping, so I've switched roles a little bit, and like one of the guys she met, like it's winter. Winnipeg is horrible winters, like -30 everyday type of weather. So you like it's hard to meet people. There's nowhere to go. No one's leaving the house and like just going to the clubs. Like there's no avenues for meeting people. And now they've been together for like a year. Like I think coming up soon will be like a year of them being together. So like it's an opportunity to meet people when it can be difficult.
The benefit is also what's wrong with it is that the benefit is that it's easy to filter through people. The downside is that it's easy to filter through people. So it makes it more challenging to have a genuine conversation and interest in somebody, but at the same time, it allows the opportunity for that. So yeah. So the next question is, how important is the profile bio, or is it just the pictures that matter?
I read the bios before I click, but what gets me to read the bios is the picture.
Right. Like as she's saying, the profile picture kind of reels you in, and then the bio kind of sells you on that person. If someone was beautiful, but they didn't have a bio, I'm probably not even gonna take my time because I know any guys there's no filter, so any guy's gonna reach out to her. Whereas if they have a bio, if they're clear that they're not looking for certain things, they're clear what their interests are, they took the time and they didn't just throw up their Instagram photos on the profile. They actually thought through their profile. It gives me reassurance that they're actually interested in something long term, something real. And so I think that although the picture, I'm not talking to somebody without a picture, the bio is what's going to give me the confidence that they're worth talking to.
Yeah, and the pictures help to quickly figure out the type of person they are. So, like, you see them hiking, you're like, oh, that's outdoorsy. You see them with a fish, you're like, maybe not for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it might be someone else's cup of tea. So it's like, it really helps you quickly filter through, even though it's not an exact science, but meeting someone at the gym and them being a perfect match for you is kind of not an exact science there as well, so...
And another thing is with the bio, seeing someone put their interest. Like for me, I'm sure it's something about travel and being an adventurer, liking exploring. Like it gives the other person an opportunity to not just start by saying hi. They can identify your interests, see what is mutual, and then go off of that. And then at the same time, it acts as a filter in this way. If somebody is on there and she's beautiful, but she has 5 kids, it's not for me. I know that I don't want to be with someone with 5 kids. Like, you have kids, fine, but it's just I'm not at that point in my life. I might not ever be at that point in my life, right? Yeah. Like, as it stands, I don't want children at the moment, so that would be a big thing for me. Or if you see someone that maybe they're here for school and they're going to be going back to Scotland at the end of the semester, then it can set my expectations, and I can kind of cut them off before we even start from there.
So I think it's worth doing a decent bio, and guys,
it's really important, yeah.
Yeah. And don't put photos with you and a bunch of people. It confuses you because you have to search through who are you? Like, I don't know if it's the first guy, the second guy, the third guy. Just don't do that because I just ignore that. It's not worth the effort for me to try to figure out who you are.
And mirror selfies. We don't... no mirror selfies.
Yeah.
For me, I think if you're going on there and you're seeking a genuine connection, if you're a man, you probably don't want to have a bunch of pictures with your shirt off. If you're a woman, you don't want to be doing a bunch of like ass shots and all that stuff, because you're gonna disqualify yourself from people that are actually serious about finding a relationship.
Unless it's just sex or hookup you're looking for, and then that works. So it's like, if you are looking for a relationship, don't do that. Because a guy that's shirtless, I'm not gonna swipe on him because he's clearly just here for booty calls. Right.
Which is what Tinder seems to be intended for. So
yeah, so you can't blame them.
We were the anomaly, right?
Yeah, no.
Huh. So why is online dating considered taboo? I've talked to people online that I met on Tinder, and they make it clear that they don't want people to know that we met on Tinder. One person actually made up a scenario for us to kind of go off of going into the future because she didn't want people to know that we met online. So why are people so embarrassed about it?
I don't know. Initially I was kind of embarrassed. It's like, oh, I met Adrian couple months ago, just leaving it vague. I don't think I've ever told my parents how we met.
I think my mom knows, but I think people are embarrassed about it because a lot of people have this ego thing where they think that like I can meet a girl or I can meet a guy anytime. So they think that if they had to resort to online, that like they aren't as good as they think they were. I think it's an ego thing. They're scared about the perception that other people have about them.
And I feel like with Tinder, the point of it is like, I need to find someone. Here I am, trying to find love or trying to find someone.
Right.
And it's like kind of embarrassing that you can't just do it in real life. Like,
Yeah.
you have to create a profile, get your best looking photos, and like the point of Tinder is to meet someone else, right? And so it's like, oh, you poor pathetic thing. You can't do it the way everyone else does it. And so it's this feeling of, no, I needed help. I needed Tinder. I
Right.
needed an app that didn't exist like, what, 10 years ago?
So the next question, do you recommend online dating to meet people? Or is it to certain people that you'd recommend it to?
So like someone like my mom's age group, so like 65, and my mom's not really tech savvy. It's just gonna be too much work for me because I'm gonna have to do it and be like, look at this one. The bio says this. No, you swipe. Oh gosh, you can't go back. You've just lost them forever.
Right.
Like it's just gonna be a pain. So no, like I think that's just like that limitation on using the app itself. So I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
So I think, kind of going off what you said, is that for people that are maybe older, less tech savvy, but more importantly, they're more gullible, they're more
Yeah.
vulnerable. Like people actually have a full-time like job basically, building rapport with someone online on the dating sites, and then like asking for $2,000, saying like, oh, I'm in the military, oh, I'm away on whatever, and I need some money. And because they're professional like rapport builders, they built trust over even weeks, maybe even months.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this person smacks them with a request for $2,000 because their mother has this issue. Like, they're great at telling these stories. So people that are older and less experienced, I think they're vulnerable, and that happens quite a lot. I read on Reddit all the time people that get like schemed out of money.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's like they've created the emotions already, so you want to help this person because you love them at this point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so, yeah, that's fair. You have to understand that. Not just gullible, just ignorant about what can potentially happen through these apps. And, yeah, and
Right.
be able to figure out what a fake profile looks like versus a real one. And, yeah, that sort of thing.
Like, I think it's great for everybody in general, but maybe people that are living in a new city
Yeah.
and they have no way to, like, maybe they're not into sports or they're not into meeting like for yoga classes and stuff. But what about people that are like they just got out of a relationship and they don't have the self-awareness to know that they're in a fragile, vulnerable state, and they're just looking to fill a void because of those people that maybe can't stand to be alone. So they're going to look for a relationship, and they're so optimistic that creates the vulnerability. You
I
know what
don't
mean?
think Tinder really, like, it makes it worse, but the world is, like, people are going to prey on people like that anyways. You know what I mean? You always see those people that they are never single. They just go from relationship to relationship because they
Right.
just haven't had that ability. So Tinder is just another crutch for the type of personality.
And so another question is, what is important to have in your bio? Aside from interests, which is obvious, we discussed it a bit earlier, it's also important to have like what you absolutely will not put up with, such as like for me with children. For me, I really don't like smokers. So if you smoke cigarettes, that was a big no-no for me. Some people I would see would have like income restrictions.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if it was Tinder, but another, I think it was like Plenty of Fish or something like that. Like they have like income like brackets. So it's like I make 60 to 80,000. I won't be with somebody. I'm not interested in anyone that makes less than 50,000 or something like that. So I think you should have things that you want in somebody, and also the things you don't want. So you can have certain expectations set, so people aren't messaging you with like false hope, I guess.
And like you can quickly ignore, like you don't feel bad about ignoring people who don't meet those expectations because you set them, they were clear. And if you message me and like I quickly look at your profile or I see the message and I see you're not following, like you're not adhering to the expectations I put, I'm just gonna ignore you or delete it. Like I'm not even gonna respond, and I don't feel bad about it.
Right,
So
yeah.
it just makes it easier for you to go, hey, no, sorry, or like talk to them. No, you've already set those expectations. They're not hitting it. Just delete, ignore.
Right. Yeah, and like if you're someone that likes to travel, then you may want to put that. Maybe some people don't like to travel. Like that's the reality of it. Some people want you to have a certain level of education,
Yeah.
right? Maybe it's not about income, but it's like they want to see that you've put effort into pursuing something in life, that you have a passion. I think we touched on it a little bit earlier, but having like putting your interest in there or kind of conversation topics, books you like to read, things you like to do. Maybe if someone likes to, I don't know, surf. It'd be really great if you like for us. I don't know if we had in our profiles, but we eventually realized that we both have our like scuba diving license. We both like to travel. We both have like certain interests that allowed us to click on. And ever since then, how many trips have we been on? Like
I don't know.
5?
Yeah.
Jamaica, Grenada, Cuba. Where else?
Nowhere else.
Quebec. I guess that counts.
But like, I think the profile pictures help because with Tinder there are multiple ones, and I feel like you had a photo that showed me you were a scuba diver,
Probably yeah.
and then I had photos that showed I was like a
You know,
scuba
on a
diver.
boat, and like you had like the wetsuit on or something.
Like I had a wetsuit on, so I'm clearly like I don't necessarily have to put tons of detail because you have limited text space, right? So I don't put tons of detail. I'm like adventurer, and then my profile pictures tell you that I like traveling because I have pictures from like in front of like one of those pyramids in like Mexico or something.
Right, yeah.
So
I
like
remember that. Yeah.
you can tell, okay, I like to travel. I dive. I like animals. I think I like a photo with me and a dog or something. Like I'm animal friendly, pro animal type person. Yeah, that type of stuff is important.
Yeah, and like think about first of all, be genuine. Like if you're not into reading books, don't put you read books because you're just gonna try to start a relationship off of a foundation that's already like faulty.
I was gonna say, like,
Go
don't
ahead.
worry about being attractive to everyone because you're not trying to attract everyone. There are certain people that will like you and make sure you're genuine to your type. And so, like, I'm not gonna be like meat and like I'm a vegan now, and you met me as a vegetarian. So, like, clearly those are my goals. I want to be more sustainable. I'm not gonna try to fake it and be like, no, I don't care. Do whatever you want. No, you must recycle. Like, it's gonna piss me off. I'm that person. So be genuine to who you are so that your type can find you.
If you have a strict like religious preference, you can put that. Like some people have a strict like ethnical like preference. Like some people they only want to be with white people or black people or Asian whatever, or like a lot of times people would say like no black people. It's like I'm definitely not gonna message you because if it's that important to you that you're gonna put that in your bio, I have no interest. It's not even a moral thing. It's not right or wrong, but it's just about being aware of what you want, having the self-awareness to be able to articulate it in your profile. And then the last question we're asked is, what is our overall experience with online dating? I actually never had much expectations when it came to online dating. I did it just because it was another possibility to meet somebody. You know, if you don't try, you never know what you're gonna get. Blah blah blah. Any woman that reached out to me, it was 99, if not 100% genuine.
Oh.
Genuine.
My face was like...
What do you think I was going to say?
Something bad. Like, I was like, nah, I don't want her. Like,
No.
I'm the hunter. I don't like being hunted.
Not at all. So for me, it's always genuine. Like, women reaching out to me, if I had a message, I knew it was genuine. Whereas I bet you if you get a message, you assume that it's not genuine.
Yeah, you just kind of assume it's not you assume it's not genuine for sure. But I feel like overall... like thinking back about all the guys who messaged, some of them were funny, some were sweet, like you could tell like they were like a genuine guy, and like those moments kind of eclipsed the bad ones a little bit where I was like, oh, they were nice enough that, you know what, I would do it again.
I never expected it to get to this point where I actually met somebody. Like I expected I might meet somebody and we're like talking, dating for a few months, but I've never actually been, like, we've been together for 3 years now. That's by far the longest relationship I've personally ever had. And I would have never expected it would come from Tinder, of all things. No. I thought maybe I would sign up for eHarmony or like one of the paid programs where everybody there is like committed.
I would think that's a bit like in my head. If I was going to end up in a relationship through an online medium, it would be through eHarmony or one of those, not Tinder. Because like to me, Tinder was just just meet some randoms, talk to them, they make you feel good. Because a lot of the messages from Tinder, that's what it was for me. Whereas like this guy's like, oh, you're so beautiful. I'm like, oh, thank you. My day just walking around confidence, like somebody like shit on your day and you're like, oh, your smile is amazing. Glow up again, you know, like. And so Tinder was a bit of a pick me up for me because like I knew I was gonna get the type of attention I wanted because like that's what Tinder is for. Right. So like I didn't expect relationship from Tinder, so that was kind of unexpected and not the plan at all. As
a man, it was tiring. And I'm sure it's tiring for women in their own way. But for me, it was tiring because I would see someone and they're beautiful. Their profile is very like thought through and they're interesting. So you strike up a conversation and then you might get some dialogue back and forth, and then it goes dead, or their profile gets deleted. You can see that they gave up. And for me, it's always like, man, if you would just give me a chance, you'd see that I'm not like all those other dudes, but we didn't get to go that far. So there's a lot of disappointment, and for women, I'm sure something like that too. Like you don't have time to go through 100 people or
No, and
hundreds, right?
yeah, and sometimes like you were busy that day, or like for 2 days you just didn't have the time, and then some dude's cursing you off, or like whatever, you think you're better, blah blah blah, and like I'm like, dude, I'm not ignoring you. I just don't have the time for this. And
Right.
yeah.
Like I would see some women who clearly got a lot of attention. They'd have their 5 profile pics, and they'd have a pic showing their like inbox, and it would say like 500 people,
Oh,
and then they'd have a message on it saying like in my profile it specifically says I don't want people that are like this, or people that are black, people that are the white, and they're frustrated because people are clearly not reading their bio, and they have 500 messages to filter through. So I'm assuming that's pretty stressful and like tiring trying to filter through all the crap. So they inevitably shut down their profile. I get why people don't do it. It's an effort.
It is an effort. It takes a lot of like going through, talking to people, investing time, and that's a lot. That's what drains people. It's like, oh, I don't want to have to like get to know someone again and figure this out. And in Tinder, you're not sure if this is all real, and so that's the apprehension. So it's like, oh, I've invested all this time, and then they're really not anything that you expected, or like they just disappear on you, and it's like, oh, not again. It can be exhausting.
Yeah, it's like it's not a passive experience. Like that's the difference between meeting someone on Tinder or meeting someone through a mutual friend. Where if you meet someone through a mutual friend, they have confidence in who you are based off of what that friend says, and you get to meet each other with other people. So like there's a certain group dynamic that gets created, and your personality shines out. Because I know when we met, like she didn't really get to see my personality when we met, and I didn't get to see as much of hers as I did once we were comfortable. Because you don't know what the limit is. You don't know how
Yeah.
far you can be, how weird you can be, how silly you can be. So you're trying to remain within these little like walls that you've created. And like I knew you weren't from here. Like you were like raised on the island, so I didn't know what
Grenada,
references
not AI.
in Grenada, right? So I didn't know what references like do you get references that are common here that might not be there? Like I don't know. Like you have all these preconceived notions.
That's true. There's a lot of misunderstandings on Tinder. Stuff people would say to me, and I didn't understand what it meant. Like I was just like clueless, because it's like a very cultural thing, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, can you explain it to me? And then I come off as dumb to them, so they're like, because they don't know that I was raised on an island. Like all of that's not in my bio, and like you can't hear my accent when I'm typing, so you
Right.
don't know that I'm not from here. And so it was just I'd get some like, oh no, it's blah blah blah. And you can hear the condescension in the way they're typing.
Right. I think because we're in quarantine, she's usually in Winnipeg, in Manitoba. I'm in Ontario, but because of the whole quarantine thing, we thought we'd do this. If there's a lot of interest, we might do another one on like being in a relationship during quarantine. We might do another video on like long distance dating. We've been together for 3 years. I'd say maybe like we've lived together for maybe a year and a half out of that.
Yeah.
Just because making sacrifices in a relationship. I think long distance dating is it's a topic that a lot of people might not have experience with, but there's a lot to it. It's challenging in its own ways. So might do another video on that. So if you enjoy this, definitely leave a comment. Let us know your experiences, your thoughts. Like the video if you liked it. Definitely subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. It's not my normal video, but she's also not always here, so it's nice to do this video with you. And yeah, keep a lookout for my future videos, and take care. We'll see you later.